Okay, I believe I'm live now. I'm going to let the Facebook group know we are back after being gone for 1 week. We are back. YouTube already let the subscribers know. Very cool. I just passed 1,000 subscribers while I was gone. Very excited about that. And Lucky is over on this side. All right. I hope that's the right one. Okay, I think that should be the right one. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I'm excited. Again, we are now doing our thing. Let me find the screen again. Here we are. All right, so hey, Darren, welcome, man. Good to see you. Uh, Showing up for the boy. Appreciate it. Uh, yeah, so this is going to be exciting. I've got a few questions that are going to be answered this week outside of whatever gets asked. Um, okay. So, first is how does call center how does your call center function while you're on vacation? Since unavailable. That's actually a pretty cool tip for that. And then the other is what helped you choose rates pricing for your call center clients? Good. Those are the two questions that I planned on answering, but of course, I'm happy to answer whatever other questions you guys might have. And yeah, so got a bit of a late start today, so I'm gonna chill out for about at least 30 minutes. If anybody else hops on with other questions and such, I'll continue to answer for as long as I can. But yeah, again, happy to see you guys on here. And Darren, you already know the deal. Any questions you got, feel free to ask them. Um, so yeah, let's see. This stream's been running about 3 minutes. I try to make it so that we're 5 minutes in before I start answering the questions that I have written down. Just give a few people the time to sort of show up. Um, and Darren, that's a good question. He's asking about Facebook ads. Uh, I will answer that soon. Um, but I'm gonna wait about 90 more seconds. I guess as a quick announcement during this 90-second wait, um, there's not much to announce, and I guess that's a pretty good thing, right? Essentially, things are flowing. Um, I This year is going to be a pretty big year. Again, we're starting to do some paid marketing to get more of you guys knowing about this, learn about the opportunity to start a call center, and so it's going to be bumping. Again, I am excited again that we're at 1,000, over 1,000 subscribers on the channel. Awesome. And we didn't do any like fake subscriber thing. We didn't do any, pay somebody on Fiverr or whatever to freaking, get me some subscribers just to boost the number. These are all people, like actual people that said, you know what, let's go ahead and subscribe. Let's do this. So I'm excited about that. Uh, as always, you might hear my puppy Lucky barking here and there in the background. It is what it is. I have a puppy, and I'm a dog dad. So there's that. There you go, right on cue. Let's see, about 12 more seconds, um, and I'll get started. Alrighty. So yeah, the puppy's with the wife right now. She probably wants him to play with her. Okay, so okay, Darren, let me answer your question first. So Darren asked, uh, do Facebook ads work with call centers? Um, he is aware that they work with business to consumer very well, but what about business to business, specifically with call center? So that's a very good question. You know, in the program itself, we do talk about different methods, and we actually do spend a little bit of time. Excuse me. We do spend a little bit of time talking about actual Facebook ads. Um, in general, I would say, I mean, yes, it's possible to have them work, right? I would say it's sort of difficult. You have to, be decently good at Facebook ads, and more importantly, you have to be pretty good at knowing, um, or not knowing. You have to have a pretty decent budget because what happens is that in this industry, the average client is actually worth a good amount of money in terms of lifetime value, right? Um, depending on the client side, if your average is like $300 per month, which I actually think would be higher if they're actually responding to ad, but say it's $300 per month, um, we were holding on to them for 22 months, so that's $6,600. So $6,600, you're probably going to make uh, over $2,000 on that. So let's say it's $2,000 in terms of profit. Well, the thing to understand is that that profit is happening over the course of 22 months. So it's a very long, period for you to get your profit, but the profit is there, right? And so as you build up your book of business, as you build up your clientele, that number $2,000 per client is a lot. It's a lot of money. And so if you're willing to spend $500 to land a client, that's going to work out very well for you. If you have the cash up front, you can build up a business very fast doing it that way. And frankly, there's a lot of businesses that are doing that. Not a lot, but some of the largest players in there are doing that. And so when they do that, of course, the costs go up. Now, with that said, um, it seems as though that it's impacted Google. So the most popular keywords on Google, more so than Facebook ads, because Facebook ads are more segmented. You can be a lot more specific about who you target. So depending on who you target and how you choose to go about it, that has a serious impact. So the point is that if you can, in the short term, sort of keep your cost per client below about $250. But certainly, if you can keep it below $500, then you're going to be in a good spot. Point blank, period, you're going to be in a good spot. And I did those numbers based off of $300 a month. Let's say it was like $500 a month. Let's say it was $1,000 a month. We have few students that have clients that are five figures per month. So that's not normally what I teach, but frankly, anyone can sign up. The only difference between a small and a large client is the amount of minutes that they're using per month, right? It's not like just because they're a larger client and they're spending more money, somehow you did a better job or, they get more involved. I think, with software companies or something like that, most of the time it's like they sign up for something and then, once they have more buy-in, right, then they upgrade to the larger plan. And then once they get more buy-in, they upgrade to the larger plan. With this, they're in regardless, right? It's just a matter of you taking call for the organization. And so them being a larger client is simply a matter of them using more minutes. And so if they're already using 10,000 minutes a month, that's what they're doing. They're not going to come in on your starter plan, getting 50 minutes a month. That's a $10,000 a month client. So my point is that if you land a client like that, then in the short term, you're more than making your money back, right? If you're spending $10,000 for a $10,000, sorry, if you're charging $10,000 for a 10,000 minute a month client per month, that's $120,000 a year, and the profit on that's going to be at least $25,000. So if it costs you even $1,500 to land that client, well, you're making that back every month, and then you on the first month, and then every month after that, it's just pure profit. So try to think about it in terms of the cost. Because the client side can be so large, there's a lot of room in terms of what can happen. And so the answer to that question mostly lies in your upfront capital that you have in terms of the budget. And so, a lot of people when they get started, their budgets aren't that large, and so they usually stay away from paid marketing approaches. Starting off, especially if they're trying to be aggressive. Okay. Um, all right. So Darren also asked, "Do you think $200 to $300 is a decent budget for ad per month?" Also, my wife is a marketing senior manager, a good asset to do the ads right because she does it for a living. I think your wife will be able to tell you. $200 to $300 is not a large amount to spend on ads per month. Now, I think you're targeting U.S. based clients, so it's not a lot to spend. It's just not. If you want to do that in addition to doing like content marketing and like like outbound marketing in some way, then it's fine. It's good to start with, and then as you land some clients, you start to increase that. But I would say a good starting budget that you can try to eventually get to is around $1,000 per month. Once you can spend $1,000 per month, you're going to really start to notice it. And most importantly, you'll be in a situation where you'll be able to get the data that you need to optimize more quickly. If you spend $200 to $300, then the data is going to come in relatively slowly, and just take longer to optimize your budget. It'll take longer for you to know if an ad that you thought was a bad ad is actually a good ad. It just needed time, for Facebook Pixel to warm up and figure out what's going on. It takes time, and so you need to get going. Uh, Wing Chun Kung Fu, uh, welcome first of all. So I hope that answers your question, there. And I would say one grand a month. Now, by the way, I didn't do ads until 18 months in. Wing Chun asked, how much would you say your monthly expenses are in the business, excluding marketing and advertising? Well, when you're first starting, the only expenses you're going to have are your phone system and payroll. And then a couple, small pieces of software outside of that, like, your G Suite or Google Workspaces account, uh, you know, a grasshopper number for your main business number, which I like to keep outside the phone system itself. Um, like your website hosting. There's not a lot of expenses outside of payroll and the phone system. Now, the phone system that I recommend runs about $600 per month. Okay. And that actually includes 3 agents. That's the minimum requirement starting off on that particular phone system. There's some other stuff in there. Uh, so inclusive of taxes and stuff, all in, you're at about $600 a month for the phone system, and then payroll is dependent on who you hire. So whether you're hiring in the U.S. depends on how much you're paying. You can probably figure that out. If you hire overseas, there's obviously all kinds of options overseas. I have an option with my with a business partner that actually used to be, or technically still is one of my call center students. We're doing Eastern European, and so we hired him out at $1,400 per month for a full timer. So say you have one of those, that's $1,400 a month in payroll costs, right? But some people will find their own people, especially overseas, and they're just spending what they're spending. So I hope that answers your question, Wing. Um, and yeah, gotta keep it flowing in terms of the questions. Happy to answer. Um, we're already, man, we're halfway through February. Crazy. Um, so I hope that answers your question. I'm going to go to number one of the two questions that I had prepared before I hopped in here, which is how does your call center function while you were on vacations or otherwise unavailable? Um, and I think this is a great question. A lot of people, when they start this business, they're looking to get to the point that the business can run without them, right? Um, Linda, Linda asked if it's completely virtual or if it's a brick and mortar. Linda, the answer is completely virtual. We got to over 100 agents, and we didn't have an office. Everyone worked from home. So 100% completely virtual. I, in general, stay away from brick and mortar businesses. Now I'm in a position to do a brick and mortar, and I've always stayed away from because it's just, you know, just like buying a house before you're ready or something. You're attached to it. You don't have that flexibility and versatility that you need. And plus, you could have a business that could be remote, but if you're paying for office expenses, now you're feeling compelled to go in the office. So it's sort of frustrating. Okay, so my thing is saying that my connection is unstable, and it says please wait while we try reconnecting. Can you guys let me know right now from when I say can you hear me currently? Let me know. And Jeff Day, welcome. Darren, you still hear me? You guys all still hear me? Okay, good. All right. So Darren confirmed they can still hear me. I'm just gonna keep going. Um, hey, mind, body, and soul, welcome. Thomas family, welcome. Good to see you guys on here. Um, uh, so Linda also asked, do you have a video where you're talking about how you're able to get your first client for your business? Hey, Jeff, this I don't even know how to say your name right, so I apologize for that. Do you have a video where you're talking about how you're able to get your first client for your business? I'll tell you right now how I got my first client. So, I and this is recorded for any of you that came on late. It'll be available as soon as I hop off. Um, uh, the way I got my first client is when I started this, I had a cleaning company, and the cleaning company, we were hiring out contractors to clean the houses of appointments that we were able to get booked. So our business existed as a way for people to be able to book house cleaning appointments online. So they would book it, and then we send some cleaners over to clean the house. We charge them up front, and we make our profit on that. And we got to the point after about a year, we were probably doing around probably 80 to 100 cleanings a month in as a business. And the phone was ringing a lot, and I was sick of answering it because, again, I wanted to have as much flexibility as possible. So what I did was I started looking for answering service companies, and during that research period, I came across the virtual receptionist business model, would go beyond what answering services are. Okay, so once I decided, hey, you know what, this is cool. I'm going to start my own virtual receptionist company. I could reverse engineer what these people are doing, right? Start to put together. And so what I did was I found a partner. My original partner was also a cleaning business owner, a separate one. I'm in Chicago. He was in Kansas City. And we were both cleaning business owners. And so what we did was our initial sort of marketing or messaging and branding was, hey, we are cleaning business owners and we're establishing an answering company for cleaning businesses, right? So it's like, listen, our agents are gonna uniquely understand your needs as a cleaning business owner because we're cleaning business owner and we'll train them that way. We'll be able to use this software that you guys use, which at the time was called Long 27. And so it's like, okay, we speak to these people. And so the way we landed our initial clients was we had a list of about we put up like, hey, if you're interested in this, put in your email. And so we had, I think, about 35 people eventually on the email list. Hey guys, say what's up to Lucky. So we had about 35 people on the email list, and we did sort of a pre-launch. And by pre-launch, we were sort of talking about different updates and things that were coming up before we launched. And then we launched on January 1st, 2015. And we said, hey, we launched. And I think it was 11 minutes after I sent that email, we got our first client. It was a cleaning business owner. And the person who signed up was actually the same exact person that ended up acquiring Vicky Virtual, my company, almost 5 years later, which is sort of insane. But when you think about it that way, that was a very, very, very profitable client. Wow, that's got to be one of the most profitable clients on earth. So that's how I landed my first client. We were cleaning business owner. I kept my cleaning company until 2017, I think March or April of 2017. And so, we were running both businesses, and I had a few other projects as well, which is also doable when you don't have brick and mortar and you're doing virtual. Okay, I feel like I think, yeah, okay, that answers all the questions so far. But I want to circle back. How does your call center function while you're on vacation? So when you're on vacation, again, you just want your business to be set up in a way that everyone can work from home, including yourself. If that's the case, then all you need is a laptop and a cell phone. Now, in this context, the service we're providing is answering phone for different other small businesses. Now, since I wasn't the one answering any phone calls, most of my function were focused on things that didn't require me to be on the phone. When you don't have to be on the phone, it's a lot easier to be literally anywhere on the planet and do things, right? So I just had to reply to email, chatting with my co-founder, chatting with the agent. We did that on Google Hangouts, and then eventually we switched over to Slack. Just simple things, and then obviously growing the business in terms of sales efforts and stuff. But all of those things can be done on a laptop with an internet connection. And so because I wasn't personally the service provider, our agents were, right? Because our agents were doing the services, from the beginning, other than managing the agent and making sure our clients were happy, from the beginning, I didn't have to do much work. The only reason that, of course, we were doing more work was, one, we were onboarding clients that we brought in. Two, we were doing marketing to bring in more clients, right? So sales effort. So if it was for whatever reason, I had to be away for a day or two, that just meant that we weren't going to bring in any sales for that day or two, right? But my partner was handling the majority of the agent stuff anyway. So from the beginning, I didn't have to work many hours. And I never worked more than 40, 50 hours a week on the business, right? I don't even think it was 50. There was only about a month-long period where things were crazy. And that's our 7th month in business, when we had, I don't even know. I'm going to guess we had somewhere around 20, 25 clients. And then suddenly we brought in 17 clients that finished trial and became paid client. So our business grew either 80 to 100%, maybe around 70 to 80% in 1 month. And we hadn't hired any new agents yet. We were actually still working with our first 2 agents. And so at that point, we were actually so busy that month that, we were taking in calls left and right. That was the one time where I did take some calls here and there. I was last priority agent. And, I was focused on sourcing for new agents to bring on. And so after about a month, I was able to bring in 2 agents. And so, I never had to do that again. And that was the only time it was crazy. But that was a good reason to be crazy. We brought in a bunch of clients, completely unexpected. We weren't like doing any outward marketing. It's just our content marketing efforts had sort of kicked in. So our SEO was bringing us leads and leads and leads like crazy. Um, so we didn't anticipate it, but we figured out a way to handle it. Okay, Linda asked, do you do discovery calls? I have to jump off, but I do have a couple other questions because I was thinking about going to Arise platform, but I think I like this one. All right, Linda, before you hop off, let me be extremely clear. I'm gonna create a video on this. Let me be extremely clear. The Arise platform is a job. Arise will tell you it's a business. I'm telling you right now, it's a job. If you want to have a job in this business, like in the call center industry, then sign up with Arise. It's great. You'll be able to essentially sign up for an assignment. You'll do the training, which they pay you to you pay them to get certified. It's like $20 or whatever. You take the class, you get certified, and all these people are going on about how they have an Arise business, but Arise is a job. In every sense of the word, you're signing up to be a 1099 employee, and you work the assignment whenever you want to work. It's sort of like if you're signing up to be a DoorDash driver, right? You like own the business of driving for yourself, but really you're a driver working for DoorDash. What we're talking about here is completely different. You're starting your own company, right? You're starting your own delivery service. You're not signing up to work for DoorDash, which is a platform. You're creating your own thing. You have to land your own clients. You don't, work with Home Depot or some Fortune 500 company. You have to land your own clients. You set up your own website. You do everything yourself, but you get complete ownership. So, that's the difference. I'll break it more down in a video because a lot of people have been bringing up the Arise thing, and I actually didn't know what Arise was until after I created this course, after I've been in the call center industry for 5-6 years. Okay, so Darren asked, what does a typical onboarding look like? What is important to know? Onboarding pretty simple. You essentially, you know what? I'm not going to be too specific about this because it's in the course, but the high level of how it works is a client signs up, you get their sign up info as well as their onboarding form. Okay. Now the course has an onboarding template which asks all the questions you need to ask. But when they submit both of those things, you get them configured in the phone system, and then you give them a unique forwarding number. The new client will then forward call to that number, and then you start taking calls for them, right? You have to make sure that it's configured based off of what the specifications are, what they want you to do in terms of answering the phone. And so you're just answering the phone. We used to do a week-long trial, and then after the week, they would have the opportunity to continue and pay us, or they would end the trial and we part ways. So that's it. That's the onboarding process. Okay. So I hope that answers that question. Yeah, so the call center functioned well while I was on vacation, especially after a year. After about 3 years, or 2.5 to 3 years, I really didn't have to work much on this business at all. Like my requirement was a couple hours a week. And that wasn't even necessary. The only thing that I ended up doing were two things. One, talking to my operations manager who was running the company, and then two, charging clients because for some reason I decided that I wanted to be the one to charge clients because it's just so fun to just type in the amount of money that you're charging and charge the client. In fact, I used to have this app that I can't remember what it's called anymore, but it would do like a cha-ching sound whenever you were charging somebody. It was exciting, when I was a newer business owner, being able to land clients and have them pay me. It's an incredible thing. So I didn't have anybody else do it. So those were my only things. Okay. So what else? what helped you choose rates pricing for your call center clients? That's a good question. How do you do pricing? Pricing, I'll just keep it extremely simple here. We just price based off of our competitors. So, I picked a competitor that I felt like we were most similar to when we were, putting ourselves together. And at first, I think I copied their pricing exactly because I figured, hey, if they're able to function on this, then I can too. I did some napkin math to get the economics right. And once again, in the course itself, there's a whole spreadsheet calculator that allows you to forecast. You can put in what your pricing is going to be for different plan tiers. You can put in how much you pay your agent, everything that gives you the entire breakdown. But yeah, I mean, it's real simple. I just looked at competitive websites, almost like, if you're doing comps in the housing market, you just look at similar houses that are priced a certain way already, and then you compare it to your house, see what's better or worse, and price accordingly. Um, Thankfully, we're generally providing the same service as even the largest companies in the market, right? And so, in doing that, there's not much reason why we shouldn't be much less expensive. You're going to profit pretty well if you're anywhere near what your competitors' prices are. And I say that with a word of caution. You don't want to intentionally, you don't want to make being cheap your your proposition. You don't want your unique selling proposition to be being the least expensive, because what will happen there is that you will get some clients, but they will be the most frustrating clients. You will have the lowest margins, and therefore you'll be the most frustrated. You don't want to be in a position that you're doing $1 million a year in revenue and you're stressed out and you're only profiting about $100,000. It's a terrible, miserable situation to be in. You don't want to do it. It's way better to be in a position where you're doing about $250,000 a year and you're profiting $100,000. It's a much smaller business. You're a lot happier. Your agents are happier because you've got more wiggle room for the service that you're providing. So as more people sort of enter the space, I want to caution against those that want to try to be cheap. It's just not going to work out well. Yeah. So I hope that so far it seems like all the questions are answered. So I'm going to take a swig of water and wait for any other questions to come in. All right, so Jeff T, yeah, I'm really not getting that right, but yeah, I hope to see you on the other side soon. Um, you know, it's going to be a big year for a lot of people. There's already a few people that are starting to land their first client. Very exciting. Very exciting. hmm Okay. Where are you guys? There you go. Okay. Mind, Body, and Soul app. What CMS do you recommend when starting, and how is that linked with bandwidth? Um, okay, so well, you don't need a. Oh, I think you mean CRM. So CMS is a content management system, like WordPress, for instance, which I built my website on, is an example of that. You manage the content for your website on there, and then CRM is Customer Relationship Manager. I'm sure you know that, but I'm just telling the audience. Customer Relationship Manager, and so a CRM is meant for organizing, sales leads, maybe current and existing client, that type of deal. And so, in terms of bandwidth, though, you might be asking in terms of managing client groups and stuff. Certain phone system contact center softwares have like a light CRM built in, whereas all the contact information for all the calls and such are stored in there. If not, I actually don't recommend a CRM. I recommend a ticketing system. Ticketing system enables you to, have a call come in. There's nothing that really integrates very well, but it at least allows you to have a call come in. You send out a call summary email, and then if the person replied to it, if your client replied to it, it opens up a ticket that anyone can assign themselves to. And then when the ticket is closed out, anyone organization wide or whoever you decide to give access to that ticket visibility, they can see it's been closed out. So that way, everyone, at least from a managerial standpoint, can see whether a given client, if they have a question, whether that's been replied to, right? So nothing falls in between the cracks. If you have client emailing receptionist directly, and some receptionist isn't good at replying, then it's really hard to have accountability because you can't see it. With the ticketing system, you see it, and all ticketing systems essentially have a CRM built into it because it always manages the contacts and the people that you're replying to and engaging in conversations with. So when we used phone systems that didn't have a CRM built in, we always ended up, and it took me a while to figure out, by the way. So this is a gem. We always ended up using a ticketing system. Okay. Darren F., what do you think about raising money from Kickstarter and or other crowdfunding sites, and maybe when having a few clients getting an angel investor or a venture capital fund or a capital skill? Yeah, I think that's totally fine. I mean, this is a business in a fantastic market. It's a fantastic opportunity. It's going to be around for at least the next several decades. I mean, I would say it's very difficult to raise money from Kickstarter and all that, but it's certainly doable. Once you get some clients and some traction and revenue, yeah, bring in some investors. There have been people, I used to, me as well as many other students at this point have had, people trying to get in either to acquire them or to invest. So once you create something in space, investors recognize the value. Um, that's a fact. I don't, whatever. Um, so if you're able to do that, then do it. Yeah, fantastic. I didn't really see the need to raise money, but some of the larger companies did. If you're really looking to make a real splash, like really try to eat up some real market share, get yourself to a nine-figure company, then yeah, raise some money. Um, if you're content with getting to the point that you personally make $1 million or $2 million a year personally, you can do that without raising any outside capital at all. And then you can have a lifestyle business that isn't dependent on investors. But if you want to make a real splash, if you want things to go pretty quickly, and you want to put yourself in a real position to maybe create generational wealth, then yeah, try to raise money. Kickstarter, I can't really speak to it because I've never done a Kickstarter, right? I feel like these things are possible. It's just that when you're talking about what you're launching, there are other solutions already in the market. So you have to figure out what your unique selling point is going to be, and once you do, you do. But yeah, there's definitely some options there. But I honestly think that if you do a good enough job to make a bunch of money on Kickstarter, then you would have been fine just going out and getting no clients directly anyway, to be completely honest. Um, Darren asked because he works at the 1099 for a company that has raised 2 million in seed funding and they're doing pretty well. Yeah, I mean, they're going for a real splash. Uh, any tips, Mind, Body, and Soul Remedies asked, any tips on starting a BPO call center in Africa? Thanks in advance. Uh, well, I hate saying this, but I'm just going to say it. The tip is to get the course. Teach you everything you need to know to start a BPO call center in Africa. There's not a lot of difference. The only difference is instead of sourcing your people in the U.S. like I did, you're sourcing them in Africa. You can serve clients across the world. Doesn't really matter. The concepts are the same. You're likely going to be using many of the same, if not all of the same system. How you register your business is obviously different. Um, but BPO is simply business process outsourcing, which pretty much any call center that is independent and not internal within a company is always going to be a BPO. But in general, BPO is something that is, when people think about it, usually it has an office and usually it has some type of centralized location for a bunch of agents. But if you are wanting to do this in a way that you don't have to put up the money up front to, pay for an office and pay for those centralized things, and the agents are working from home, then instead of considering it to be a BPO, just call it a remote call center. Um, and the beautiful thing about Africa is there's tremendous amount of talent there, uh, completely untapped resource in terms of talent. Obviously the wages in general aren't as high as in the U.S. and other, sort of Western nation. So it's a lot of opportunity. There are some students that are, launching in Africa. There's some students that have agents that are in Africa as part of their staff. So it's a great spot. When I built my company, I did it with all US people. But I'm telling you guys right now, if I were to start over, 100%, I would just start with people outside of the US. Because, I was all paranoid about the accent, but it turns out that wasn't necessary. And that's the beautiful thing about having people in this program. I've learned a lot of things about the call center industry since launching this program, simply by seeing, the experiences that other students are having. We have over 180 students now, probably about 40 to 50 call centers that have been launched. And so talking to all these people, they all have different approaches. Everyone has a different approach. And so seeing these different approaches and how they're working, how their customers are responding to their unique setups is very interesting and awesome. And so, now seeing these things happen and being inside those experiences with these students, I'm able to say with confidence, yes, you can do it this way. And, there's certainly a way for it to work out for you. Uh, yeah, I'll share the link to the program here. There's actually still a discount on it right now. It was a link that I was going to take down, but I did not. It's still up. Let me make sure it works. Taking a little while to get to that page. Oh, yeah. All right. Make sure. Yeah, still works. Okay, so yeah, that link still works. If you're interested in that, not to sell it, but I'm telling you right now, it's just quicker. I just don't know how to say it. It's just so much quicker. It enables you to sort of hit the ground running. Any other questions at the moment that I can answer? I've got about 4 or 5 more minutes. The other thing about the program, especially for people that are new to paying attention to me, um, the phone system that I recommend is called 5 9, and 5 9 is expensive in general, but they also have a sort of like a fourth implementation fee, unless you've used the platform before and have a tremendous amount of experience in it and can prove it. They don't let you self-implement, and so if you try to sign up with them directly, then they charge a minimum implementation fee of $3,500. But with the course, if you have the course, they allow you to self-implement, meaning that $3,500 is now $0, and so that savings alone is more than the entire cost of the program. So something to keep in mind. I've got about 3 more minutes. Any other questions at all? Oh, Darren said I think you should post the course link here. Yeah, I just posted it. I'm also gonna get posted in the comment section for the replay of this Q&A. And sorry I wasn't here last week, guys. You know, my car got towed. I live in downtown Chicago, and my wife ran in to grab some Potbelly. Not sure if you guys have heard of that, and came out in the car was towed. So we had to go get that out. So there it is. Mind, body, and soul. So, do you charge your clients in advance? Yes. When someone signs up, they have the trial, which is, like for the call center. When someone signs up, they go through the trial period. We don't charge them for the trial. Some of the students do, by the way, but we don't. And at the end of the trial, we charge them for the first month. So we always charge that first month up front. There's certain situations with larger clients once you have a certain relationship established, or maybe if your business is a certain size. Some people will do like a net 7, meaning you invoice them and they pay you 7 days later. But 99.9% of the time, and in my case, 100% of the time, you just charge them up front. So, and that's the way it goes in this industry. So, don't feel like it's you're really pushing it to be charging them up front. Darren, it's not a number of calls, it's a time period. We used to do a calendar week, so 5 days. So he asked, what is the trial period for the client? How many calls if it's outbound call? We just did the trial as a number of days. So, and how we would determine the plan, if it's outbound calls, how we would determine the plan is based off of their usage during that week. So if they use, say, 100 calls in a week, we said, well, 4 weeks of the month, we did it based off of 22 business days. So 5 business days occurred, 100 calls in those 5 business days. That's 20 calls per day. 22 business days times 20 calls per day, 440 calls. We typically I got 2.5 minutes for an outbound call. So, times 440, that puts you at about 1,100 minutes. So, whatever you're pricing it for 1,100 minutes, that's what you're charging them. And so we would determine that. We would send them like a trial usage report. Again, template of that is in the course, but you can also create your own very easily. A trial usage report, how many minutes they use during the trial, what their plan is going to be. We make sure that they're cool with it. And if they say yes, you should have their card on file from when they signed up initially. Charge the card, and you're rocking and rolling. Okay. And inbound. Yeah, there's no difference between inbound and outbound in terms of how I treat them. Our call center, to give you an idea, virtual receptionist companies in general, it's generally inbound. So 90% of our calls were going to be inbound. The only outbounds we did were one-off. So if someone said, hey, can you call this office and see if they received the fax that I sent over? Attorneys used to ask us to do stuff like that all the time. We would do that, one-off call. We wouldn't allow clients to send us a list of like 100 calls and say, okay, dial for dollars. We refuse to be that type of call center, because now it's performance-based, and then we have to do all kinds of new training, and it gets stressful for agents, it gets stressful for us, continuing to train and optimize everything. We want to make our lives simple and not stressful. So we're an inbound receptionist company, not a sales company. Right? We weren't a sales rep. But there is a lot of money in outbound. So if you're willing to do it, if you're willing to, do that extra training, then go for it. But there's plenty of money on either side. But outbound, a lot, plenty of people want that service. Okay, unfortunately, I do have to go. I will be here next week. If you have any additional questions, feel free to comment it here. Also, anyone that grabbed the course, you do get a 30-day money-back guarantee on it. So you can get a sense of whether the program worked for you. Also, with the program, you get access to our free Facebook group for students only. And I'm literally hopping off to go on a call with that group which is a Zoom call that other people can hop on video and participate and have a real conversation. So I don't hold back on any of the answers there. In addition to myself, other people that have launched and gotten themselves to up to $100,000 a month already, they're in there helping out, adding additional perspectives outside of mine, which has tremendous value. Anyone in the program will tell you that the group is worth at least as much as the information contained within the course itself. So with that said, February 16th, I appreciate all of you. Donald Spann signing out. And if you came here late, feel free to watch the replay below. It will be available pretty much as soon as I hang up here. And I appreciate you guys again. See you next week.